Message to market match. I wanted to just touch on this for you because I think it's an important thing that we should include in my webinar shows on a semi-regular basis, because it's just tragic how many people just forget that if you're talking to someone who might be very upmarket and might be a multi-gazillionaire, no, it's not me by the way, but someone who is upmarket and is a multi-gazillionaire and they're always wearing a bow tie, then do you think you could speak to them scratching your groin and having a Peter Stuyvesant cigarette in your hand and go, "Oh, g'day Fred, how are you, mate? You want to come down and have a few beers with us at the pub?" I don't think he's going to react to that, because he lives in a mansion, he drives a Mercedes-Benz, and he only goes to the exclusive clubs. And so therefore your message to market match would be completely out the window if you were speaking to him in bogan or down to earth sort of working class language. And so therefore you've always got to determine who is your target audience and how should you talk to them, and you should talk to them in the tonality of what they're used to. Now, we have one of our members happens to be Errol, who owns Australian Marine Wholesale, and he's dealing with people who own big boats. They're probably very wealthy people, and he sells effectively what you would call probably boys' toys to these people. The majority of his audience are male, and they're over probably the age of 40, 45, and they've got $1 or two. And so when he's talking with them, because they are men, yes, he can talk to them in, I guess, a reasonably down-to-earth fashion, but nonetheless he knows where to draw the line in the sand, because these guys are worth quite a few dollars, and so therefore he treats them with the respect that they deserve, because they're probably driving around in a $2 or $3 or $5 million boat. And you have to do the same thing. You have to recognize who is your target audience and how you're going to communicate to them. It's all about message to market match. Okay, so it's about having the right message to the right market. And I thought I'd show you a couple of good examples and one bad one. If I bring my overhead camera into being, you'll see here this happens to be a press advertisement. And as I said before in other webinars, the reason I pick on magazines and press, it's just easy to rip them out of the magazine or paper and use them as examples here with my overhead camera. But this could have easily been a web page or an Instagram ad or Facebook ad. So just take it for what it's worth in terms of the philosophy that I'm going through. Okay, so therefore, in this instance, I give them a tick because I think they've done quite well. I don't think there's, really much they can do about the small print at the base of this ad. I'll just move that up a little bit here because there's a whole bunch of conditions that, from a legal point of view, they've got to put in there. No one will ever read those, but they have to put them there. So there's not much I can say about getting rid of that. But if you look at the essence of this full-page ad here, it's Harvey Norman, which is an electrical retailer in Australia, looks after white goods and lounge suites and all sorts of things, electronics. And in this instance, they're selling a refrigerator. And this refrigerator, they're saying buy a fridge or a freezer and receive a bonus Waco icebox valued at nearly $200. Now, the fact is that in this instance, the refrigerator that they're selling here has the ice maker and everything else with it. And if you're going to be getting a refrigerator with the bells and whistles like the ice maker, then you're probably going to be interested in something that might have a little bit of pizzazz to it, something that's got a little bit of flavour to it, and I think they've done a good job here. They've actually messaged to market match. It's another fridge that you get with the fridge, but this of course is an esky. We call them an esky in Australia. If you're watching this in America, we have a few people there watching this, then that would be called a cooler, I think, in America. But basically it's what you take with you when you go on a picnic, and you put ice in it, and it keeps all your prawns and your food cold and your beer cold and everything else to go with it. I just think that is a good message to market match. The McDonald's Happy Meal puts a children's toy in there because the Happy Meal is geared towards children. In this instance, this refrigerator is geared towards adults who like a few tricks, otherwise they wouldn't be buying the refrigerator with an ice maker in it. So why not give them something that's related to that product and give them this? It's a little bit like if you bought a tennis racket from a sports store and they gave you maybe 2 or 3 tins of tennis balls to go with it, high grade branded tennis balls. So that is a good message to market match. If you were buying, for example, a kitchen, basically a dining room table and chairs, then perhaps maybe it would make sense that they give to you with that some ornaments that go with the table, or indeed it may very well be that they give you bonus chairs. Okay, the fact of the I'm not saying for a moment that you always have to do this. I'm not saying you always have to have your bonus related to the product. I mean, get a free holiday with a home loan had nothing to do with a home loan, and that worked very well. But in some instances like this, it just makes sense. So I think they've done a good job here. Message to market match. I wanted to show you another one which didn't do such a bad job at this. This is Officeworks. Okay, and so therefore that is not a shadow. It looks like a shadow on the screen there, but that is actually the blue that they've got there. And what they've gone here is, imagine if life had a soundtrack, and they're giving you all the bells and whistles that in today's, sort of music world. Here we have activity trackers. We've got ionic activity. I don't know what that is. Volume limited Bluetooth headphone. We've got the Wonderboom Bluetooth speakers, and we've got the Bluetooth on-ear headphones. All of this is Chinese to me, by the way. But anyway, in the world of sound, this, I think, has done a reasonably good job, except they're missing one thing, okay? They've got a good range of, giving, in terms of message to market match imagery to people who are interested in, anything to do with sound equipment. But what do you think they're missing? I'll give you 5 seconds for $1 million Monopoly dollars. Can you tell me what is missing in this newspaper ad? It's Officeworks, okay? What is missing? You got it, humans. They don't have any people. And so therefore what I believe they should have been doing here is that they have a reasonable sized picture of maybe, 2 or 3 people at the base of the ad here wearing some of these things, or maybe someone in the kitchen listening to their Bluetooth speaker and showing someone perhaps who is interested in the activity trackers. They might be jogging, and have images of those towards the base of the page, and then show these products. And then I think it would have been a better message to market match. They've done okay, but I think they could have done better. Here's a bad one. They are missing the point. Okay, this happens to be David Jones, and you can see here, now it feels like Christmas. It was a Christmas one, so therefore David Jones. And I do want to just lift that up closer to the camera so you can definitely see that this is David Jones. Okay, so that's David Jones. And again, if you're watching this outside of Australia, David Jones is an upmarket department store retailer here in Australia. And look what they've done. They've said brand spectacular. I don't know what the hell that means. Enjoy over 80 offers from your favourite brands across women's, men's, kids, beauty and home. And they've got some motherhood photos there of women and men's and, cosmetics. And then look what they've done. They've turned it into like Gumtree. They've turned it into an online, boring, black and white series of text. There's no one's going to read that. Not a chance in the world. There is nobody going to read that. They've just basically vomited all of that text on the page, and no one's going to be... first of all, brand spectacular is just a dumb heading. That's a stupid heading. The fact is that if you're having, a discount sale, and you know what I think about that, but anyway, let's say you're having a discount sale, don't you think that it would have been, a more appropriate headline, save up to 50% of some of the biggest women's and men's and home brands in Australia? That would have made more sense, and that would take up a good portion of the headline. And yes, you would have your imagery around it like this so that you indicate that we're talking about women's wear and men, and we talk about cosmetics, but then you certainly wouldn't move into just vomiting all of this text on the page. And what do you think it does to the brand of David Jones? It takes it down market. David Jones shouldn't look like that. David Jones should look like the Hilton Hotel, the Sheraton Hotel. It is the department store of all department stores. And what they've done here is they've let their advertising agency take their brand from the penthouse to the shithouse without taking the elevator. They really have. That is not a David Jones ad. And I don't know what sort of brain fart they had in the advertising department to let that get through. I can always see that this has been put together by an advertising agency by a key number down the bottom here. I won't hold it to the screen because it's too small for you to see even then, but there's a little tiny key number down here, and being in the advertising game, I know that means it's not been put together by someone in-house, because had it been, you'd say, oh, well, little Susie, who's 23, put that together on Friday before she went for the weekend, and so therefore there's a reason why it looks terrible. No, this has been put together by a professional advertising agency, because I can see, I'm going to show it to you. I said I wasn't going to, but if I take that up to the camera, let me see. Okay, no, I'm not. I don't know why I did that. It's impossible almost for me to see it, so I don't know how you could see it. But this has been put together by an advertising agency, which is madness. How could an advertising agency take David Jones' brand, which is like the Sheraton Hotels or the Hilton Hotels, and drag it through a $2 corny shop like this? It just looks at, just before I go, because I want to embarrass anyone who's ever worked for David Jones again, I'll just bring the overhead camera back again. Look at that. That is not a David Jones ad, and it's just terrible the way that they've taken their brand through the toilet. Okay, so that's all about message to market match, and hopefully a couple of reasonable executions of it contrast to the David Jones bad execution of it, so you understand. It's something that Woolworths put me through many years ago when I used to work for them when I was, in my 20s, is a course which I hated at the time. It was a 6-week, really intensive course, and it was called Potential Problem Analysis. The acronym was PPA, Potential Problem Analysis. And what they did is that they took you through a management course, which every time you were going to make a management decision about anything, whether it be hiring staff or whether it be opening up a new Woolworths store, or whether it be closing a store, or whether it be putting on a parade, or whatever it may be, they would get you to go through a potential problem analysis, anything and everything that could go wrong. And you would have to make sure you wrote it down or typed it. And I remember on one occasion that we were opening up a shopping centre in a regional country town, and I had Santa Claus arriving by helicopter with Mickey Mouse to cut the ribbon of the opening of this shopping centre, right? I had not done my potential problem analysis, and my bosses at Woolworths, boy oh boy, did they come down on me, because guess what? Newspapers, in the local little regional newspaper, took photos of Santa and Mickey Mouse arriving by helicopter and greeted to thousands of people. It was the biggest opening of any of the shopping centres that they had, so therefore it was a massive big opening. But guess what? Walt Disney have a clipping service that goes around the world, and so they're monitoring every piece of media that Mickey Mouse appears in, just to make sure they're protecting, their copyrighted characters. And when they saw Mickey arriving with Santa Claus by a helicopter, you can imagine in Los Angeles at the Disney office, they went nuts. They put a pretty heavy legal letter to the head of Woolworths which said, do you realise the potential problem that could have happened? If that helicopter had crashed, not only did we lose Santa Claus forever, we lost Mickey Mouse forever. Can you imagine the headlines? Mickey and Santa get killed in helicopter crash. I don't think that would do a lot of good for the Disney empire. And of course, I just did the Macaulay Culkin. What an idiot I was. I could only plead insanity because I was in my 20s, but I had not done the potential problem. There's no way that Santa or Mickey should be arriving by helicopter, because the potential problems were just scary. So just do yourself a favour whenever you're thinking through this. I'm not a management coach, I'm a marketing coach, but nonetheless, it was a good management tip that Woolworths put me through. I hated it at the time because I thought it was just going way too far, but it wasn't. Every single decision these days that I make is based on going through potential problem analysis. And as far as message to market match is concerned, the potential problem that you always have is destroying or damaging your brand. And so therefore make sure, or for that matter, not even connecting with your brand because you've got the wrong tonality, the wrong message that's not matching with your audience. So it's all about message to market match. Make sure before you put your next advertising campaign together, or your next Facebook ad or Instagram, whatever it might be, that you've got the right message to the right market. Oh, one more thing, I nearly forgot, the blatant pitch. Okay, if you enjoyed this content and you own a business or manage a business and you'd like to know how to get avalanche leads and you'd like to perhaps use my services, then there's two ways of doing it. We have a private coaching program, which we have a very special offer on at the moment, and that private coaching program includes an implementation coach, comes with me. So basically we become your quasi marketing managers or marketing team, and that private coaching program is about $3,000 a month. It's $2,900 and something a month. Obviously, these things are always $2,995 or 98 or something like that. But let's just say round figures. It's about $3,000 a month, and that'll add up to over 12 months, $36,000. But if you've got a business that's doing perhaps $400,000 or $500,000 a year, it may well come within your budget. And when you think about that, the latest statistics show that a PA in Australia, a personal assistant's average salary for a year is about 54,000. And so if you compare your 54,000 to someone who's a personal assistant sitting at the front reception of your business, compared to paying probably just over, I don't know, half of that, or maybe 2/3 of that, to become a member of my private consulting program, I think I'd lay money on the fact that you'd get a better return on investment from the investment in me than you would from your personal assistant. Now, I'm biased, of course, but if you're interested in that, then all you need to do is just book a call. Just basically go to bookawowcall.com, bookawowcall.com. You'll see it on your screen right now. And then what will happen is that there is an automatic calendar system there where you can just book in a call, and that call will be with me or one of my implementation coaches, and then we can just run you through what the private coaching program is all about. It's called the Masterclass. It's the private consulting. I say coaching, but it's a consult, so we basically take over the role of, acting as your marketing department. Now, if you have a marketing team already, that's fine. The fact is that you might be looking for some new blood. You might be looking for some ideas outside that marketing department, and I think your marketing department would be very happy when they come on board our environment, because it really is an ideas environment with a lot of direct response ideas. And when I say a lot, we're talking like a mountain load of direct response ideas, particularly online these days, that perhaps they haven't seen elsewhere. So anyway, if you're interested in that, go to bookawowcall.com, bookawowcall.com. I get tongue-tied, I'm sorry. We do have a smaller program. If you happen to be a startup or you are a one-man band and you are not doing a turnover that's more than $400,000 or $500,000 a year, then we still have a program that might suit your budget. And this one is a few $100s a month, and it's a 12-month program called the Academy program. And you still get access to a whole bundle of my resources, and you still get regular access to me as well. So when you actually go to bookawowcall.com, then you might just ask, either myself or one of my implementation coaches, just what the difference is between the two, and we can explain that to you. Okay, in terms of the private consultancy, within 10 days of our first call, you get a 20 or 30 page full-on comprehensive customized marketing plan, and that in itself, I would argue, is worth probably half, if not more, of the annual fee that you'd be paying. So you'll find that the private coaching or consulting program is a very comprehensive one where we basically become your quasi-marketing team. Anyway, enough of me. If you are interested in doing anything with us, then just go to bookawowcall.com. That's the 14,000th time I've said that. In case you can't read it on the screen, I don't know why I'm repeating it. It's there for you to see. Look forward to hopefully helping you attract an avalanche of new prospects.